What up guys, welcome back to another For Honor video. This new season came out. Stamina Drain and Stamina Pause were removed almost entirely from For Honor. The only moves that actually kept this are Xingqiu's Parry Choke and Guard Break Throws, which includes like the back throw from Raider to get like a special out of stand punish. Same with the Warlord, and then just throws in general have done it. But everywhere else, stamina has been removed, stamina damage and pause. Now for some moves this is great, for other moves it's terrible. In fact, it makes some moves in this game almost completely useless, or useless without the proper game mode and setup. I'm gonna go ahead and go over all these moves today, all the ones that were affected, and now which moves are pretty much irrelevant in this game. But before we get into that, if you guys do enjoy videos like this that are more informative or opinion based, more talking, let me know down in the comments, or even drop a like on the video. It does help me out as a creator, and with a game as old as For Honor being about 9 years in at this point, it does let me know what kind of content you guys do prefer. But without further ado, let's get into the moves that I believe that were removed, stamina damage wise, that are very beneficial for this game. First up is Warden's Shoulder Bash. Now it no longer drains stam or pauses stam on the opponent, and this is a good change in my opinion. Warden's Stamina Drain was very oppressive, not fun to fight, and it's honestly a strong enough tool as is without the Stamina Drain. Granted, it was very strong with it, but I don't think it's necessary for Warden to still be good, still a strong character. Next up is Black Prior. Stamina removed, or stamina damage removed on his bashes. Also, we're about to have maintenance while I'm recording this video, so this video may go out a little bit later depending on how much longer I have. I'm assuming this is to fix the Shigoki noise bug if y'all haven't seen it. It's hilarious, it's terrible. Anyways, Black Prior right now, the stamina drain has been removed on Black Prior's bash, as well as his zone attack. Which is a good change because it was oppressive as hell and it made it super unfun to fight VP. It made it a staring match and it just was unfun. Now I will say this is going to significantly nerf him in duels because the stamina drain was really prominent on him. However, I think he's still going to be decent, still going to be good in the right hands, and in 4v4 he's still going to mess up pretty much everybody in a team fight. So good change on Black Prior. On Warmonger, her bash, it was also removed, which I'm glad it was because it was not as annoying on her, but if you got into a low stamina situation, it was scary going against Warmonger. I think she's still fine without it. She does a really good parry punish, good punishes in general, good chain bash, so she's going to be fine without the stam drain. And that's all I have on my list for characters that I think this was a great change for, just specifically those 3 knights. The other heroes on this list that did have their stam drain removed, I don't think was good, in my opinion. Because some of these heroes' identity, they just really need the stam drain. Not Lawbringer, I accidentally clicked the button. We're going to go over the characters who now have near useless moves in their kit without just the right scenario, or they may just be outright useless altogether. First up on this list, and possibly controversial take, is Centurion, because he was a big stam drain bully machine. However, I felt like it was necessary. It was just part of his kit, and he can do good without it. But the thing is, his charge punch before, if you did mess up the, the 50-50 or whatever you want to call it in the mix-up, if he got hit by the charge punch, he leaped on you, and you and the Centurion both got their stam back. So now that that is the case, and you go for charge punches, and you keep getting these lights, you're just going to keep draining your own stam. That was 2 lights and a feint. I was down to half stamina. In addition, you have your guard break triple punch you can do, which is completely useless unless you are in 4v4 modes and you have Haymaker enabled. So this move now is completely useless outside of 4v4 with Haymaker. Any other scenario, there's no point even doing that and then to the wall anymore. You're better off just doing the wall splat because that's just using extra stamina for literally nothing. I think what they should probably do on this is get rid of Haymaker and rework this ability to just add the damage in of itself, like 5-10, go to the wall, and get your charge punch. Something like that. That would actually make him a lot better in 4v or in duels because you get more damage on these guard break punishes. And, as long as your opponent is not out of stam, which they're not going to be going out of stam very often anymore, but they'll have a chance to, avoid this wall pressure like a dodge attack or something and risk that, punish. So it would just involve more mind games, in my opinion, because now it's like, oh, if you're near the wall and they go for a kick, oh no, now you just eat the light and, you know, you go into the mix-up instead of possibly the guard break into the wall for like 39 damage or whatever. So, you know, it's just, either way, I think Centurion should have kept his stam drain, at least on his punches and the guard break punches, because, like I said, I think it's pretty useless outside of 4v4 with Haymaker enabled. Next up is Gladiator, who now has probably one of the most pointless parry punishes ever. Because beforehand, it would blind and it would also drain some stam, which was great because you could put them out of stam and go into your toe stab pressure. Or you could just kind of scare them because you would do that and then you could feint this to a zone or a guard break or whatever and potentially drain just a little bit extra stam. But this was really only very useful when they were low on stamina. Now, there's pretty much no reason to do this, because you can just dodge forward light for 15 damage and go into the same mix-ups. The only difference is you don't have to blind, so in the very niche scenario, you're going to get somebody who, like, reacts on parry flash or something. You know, I suppose that could be useful, but still, most of the time, it's worth it to just dodge forward light now, or zone if you have Haymaker, because you're going to get 19 damage total. But yeah, it's just probably the most useless parry punish in the game at this point. It's just awful now. Next up here we have Warlord. Now he lost the stamina drain on his headbutt as well as his parry punish, and I think this just sucks because beforehand, if the opponent was low stamina and they threw an attack and you headbutt them, it didn't have any stamina pause, just stamina drain, so it did give you that little extra pressure once you did get them low enough, but it was mostly just for punishment purposes. You really couldn't do a whole lot to get them that low stamina. For example, you know, let's say I do actually get into the wall here, right? And if I throw, they actually still lose all that stamina from the guard break throw, which is nice. But you'll notice his stamina starts coming back immediately. So there's already no stam pause on that, which is great. The only thing that had stam pause before was if they threw an attack and I did this. And then you could kind of pressure after that while they're a little bit blinded. And it kind of gave you a little more of an opening to work with because Warlord doesn't have much to open with except for his headbutt and then just frame advantage. So this takes a little bit of complexity out of his mix-ups once you get that blinding parry punish. And honestly, I just wish they'd bring it back. In addition, he now has this useless move, the headbutt after full guard. There's literally no purpose of doing this except maybe in the rare scenario you have them by a ledge that's close enough for you to headbutt them off, because otherwise you could just full guard light attack and get the same damage for less stamina on your part. So now a move nearly useless, not 100%, because like I said, you could technically ledge them, but I feel like it's not worth it. Next up we have Kensei, and for those of you who don't know, if you parried a heavy attack, you could get a palm strike, which would drain a little bit of their stamina and would get you into your finisher. But now this move is made completely obsolete because all it's going to do is drain your own stam, and you're better off doing a dodge forward light now for increased hit stun, as well as one more extra damage. So now, palm strike off of heavy parry, completely useless. Don't do it. Next up here is Nobu. Hers was just a little more situational, but if the opponent was low health, you could get a kick. Or sorry, low stamina. If the opponent was low stamina, you could kick them and drain that last bit of stamina. And sometimes you could use that for mix-up purposes, but now that it's gone, the opponent can just choose to block, or sorry, not even dodge, and just block. And, you know, Nobu already doesn't have much reactable stuff anyways, but now, if they're low stamina, they don't have to worry about reacting to the kick to preserve their stamina. They could just eat the kick if they wanted to. And at most, there's going to be a light, or if there is a wall, they have the heavy to worry about. But in other cases, it's not as worrisome now, which is very unfortunate. Nobu already had very little working with her, and now she has even less. Next up is Aramusha's Blade Blockade Kick. Now again, this was a bit of a niche one as well, because it does drain stam, but it can also get them to the wall. But now that it no longer drains stam, it is strictly just a wall punishing tool, or it is just a ledge tool. So not a completely useless move, but it is severely nerfed with the stamina drain, and I think, considering it's his only thing he can do to drain stam, it should have been kept. Next up we have Kosan, and this is because the forward dodge bash was guaranteed on heavy parry. So if they were low health and they did throw a heavy parry, you could kick them, put them out of stam. And honestly, I think Kosan could have kept that. Not a big deal. It didn't pause stamina, it just drained it. So you couldn't get like repeated into, you know, this, keep them out of stam forever. You know, it was very like niche situations. And it was good. I mean, considering the out of stam pressure isn't crazy anyways with Kosan being the unblockables, only 25 damage. It takes a lot of time to throw and stamina to feint to anything else. Yeah, they should have just kept it. But yeah, so now you're missing out on that punish. So if you parry a heavy, just throw a zone or throw a light. You know, whichever one's easier. Similar issue with Xingqiu here as well. Just because the kick drained stamina. And it was really good whenever they were low stam for good pressure. Because then sometimes they would just dodge because they don't want to lose stamina, and now there's no point, just eat the kick, it'll be fine. And then you just go into, you know, a mix-up, and by the time you get to that mix-up, that second heavy takes a second to come in anyways, you're gonna have some stam back. So I don't know, I think Xingqiu should have kept the kick with the stam drain, but y'all let me know on that one. I know he still has his choke and stuff, so yeah, let me know. Next up is Xingqiu. He now has no reason to go for a bash off of heavy parry because beforehand it just helped him a little bit of stam, and he could go into zone or he could go into a light attack, you know, just by default anyways. So if you parry a heavy, no point in bashing now unless there's a ledge nearby, but that's with every character with a bash, which is like 95% of his roster. So yeah, no point in bashing now after a heavy parry. No potential out of stam opportunity. Last to mention here is Afira. Her deflect no longer drains stam. Now I don't remember how significant the stam damage was, but it was enough to where I used it because the deflect's only 16 damage. And it's just not that great anyways. You're better off most of the time just going for a crushing counter because now you're going to get more damage. Or even if you just parried, you can already just get the same damage just by doing your bash. And because she's so stamina intensive anyways, I mean look at that, that's 2 feints. It was nice to be able to just deflect and just save a lot of the potential stamina you'd be using while also draining theirs a little bit. You know, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough to punish some careless mistakes, and I really, really wish they would have just kept it. It added a little more reasoning to use the deflect. One last thing I want to mention, it's actually not related to these specific stamina changes, but it's just a punish that's been out of date for so long. But Warmonger is a special impale parry punish for people that are out of stam. She has a poke to him on the ground. It does a total of 30 damage, which is not very good, man. It's just not. It's horrible. It's like, there's no reason to use it, like over just zone into top heavy for a total of 45 damage compared to 30, or even just light into top heavy, because both these are safe punishes. The only benefit of the other one is they technically bleed, so you could synergize to an extent with like the right character, like say Nabushi or Shaman, I suppose. But even in cases like that, just doing your proper max punish and them getting like an extra heavy on top of it is probably more worth it. Like, there's very few scenarios where I think this is a worth it punish, unless you just want to humiliate your opponent, because I can just kill him just like this. But this is just a special thing for Ubisoft. Guys, make this punish better. Make it do like 45 damage or something. Make it like the same as the light into heavy. You know, make it do like 30 damage with 3 ticks of bleed, or 25 damage with 4 ticks of bleed. I don't know, just something. It's just not a good punish right now. It's a cool move, and it comes in a very niche scenario, but man, there's no point in using it. It's so not worth trying to get something out of the bleed. But guys, that's going to be it for today's video. I may have missed a person or two, so if I did, y'all let me know down in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on this, but overall, let me know your thoughts on these stamina changes. I think it was a great concept, and if done right, you know, it could be great, but there's just some heroes that I think are very dependent on it. Some that just have really niche punishes that I think are just good to know. They add a little more complexity to the game, add a little bit more punishment, without just being a pain to fight. So like, you know, bash spam prior, pain in the ass. Little pummel strike Kinsei when they're low stamina, nah, that's a good punishment for just bad stamina, you know, management. So guys, let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Drop a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.